When good people go through bad times, it's hard to know where to turn, especially if those bad times are tough financial times. You can feel scared, some people feel embarrassed, and if this sounds like you may feel like there's just no hope. But get that out of your head, because our next guest says that's why they are there, and that's why bankruptcy laws are available to help you get that fresh start. So with that in mind, pay attention to some things now that you might be thinking about doing to get out of that tough financial situation. And listen, because a lot of the things that you might be thinking about doing, they could be the absolute wrong thing to do. So Our Lady of the Law, Emery, is joining us now to explain. So that's the thing, and I'm sure you see this with a lot of people that come into your office. They are trying to help themselves.
That's right.
They're good people. They want to make the situation right. But you find that they're doing the absolute wrong thing. So let's dive into that a little.
Well, and when people are having a great deal of financial stress or difficulty in their life, sometimes clear decision making isn't always easy. And so a lot of times people make decisions based on impulse and based on, I mean, you know, I got to do this, I got to get this relief, I got to get these people off my back, and that isn't always the best way to go. And so usually the first thing I hear when people come in my office is, I'm a decent person, I've paid my bills all of my life, I can't believe I'm here. The second thing I hear is, I wish I'd been here a year ago. Because many times when we talk about the situation and talk about the relief that's available, they say, holy cow, you know, I could have saved myself a whole lot of stress and strain if I had come in here right when all of this started, and we could actually be seeing the light at the end of the tunnel now instead of just beginning this process.
Versus digging yourself deeper in the hole, because, you know, I know that there's a lot of good people out there that they look at the situation, they're not making ends meet, so they look to something like their 401k and they think, okay, maybe if I liquidate the assets in there and I use that to help pay my credit card bill, well, that will help me get back on the right track. And you're saying, wait a minute, that's one of the wrong things.
Exactly. Well, and you know, when you're looking for money from any source, sometimes it can make sense to pull money out of your retirement. But under the laws, your retirement assets are fully protected from your creditors. In other words, no creditor besides the IRS can get to your retirement or your 401k. If you file bankruptcy, that money is fully protected. So why would you pull it out to pay a creditor that you can actually discharge in bankruptcy? And you know, there may be cases where it was the right thing to do because you had such little debt that a bankruptcy wouldn't make sense. But many times I see people liquidate hundreds of thousands of dollars of their protected retirement assets to pay creditors, and then they wind up in a bankruptcy anyway. So if they hadn't done that, they would still have at least those retirement assets intact, and now they don't have those and they don't have anything else either. So the idea is, find out what your options are before you start doing things like that.
Yeah, and one of the things we were talking about during the commercial break, which is so important, even if you start to see yourself falling into a situation that's not sustainable, maybe you lose your job, the economy obviously is not getting better, medical problems, something unexpected that comes up, and you start to see it a little bit, but you're like, well, maybe I can just ride the storm out. But you say that's another thing that people are doing wrong. They're waiting too long. Even if you start to see it, you should come in.
That's right. And you know, we've often talked about the people that come up my office with garbage bags full of bills that they haven't opened in months and months because the stress of dealing with them is just too much. If you come and see us right when the crisis is beginning, we can plan with you, give you some options, and tell you what to do and what not to do. Many times people wait too late, and what I mean by that is, if you've already been garnished, if your property is being seized, if you're losing your car and your home, it's pretty hard to undo all of that. Some of it can be undone, some of it can be stopped, but if you come and see us before all of that starts, we can lay out a plan to hopefully avoid all of that, and you know, not only avoid all of that, but avoid the stress and the difficulty that comes along with it.
Yeah, another thing you say, you see people that come into your office and they'll get a second mortgage on their house to take that money and then go pay off their bills.
What you're doing now, and in Florida, your home is a protected asset as well. All of your home and the equity in your home, if it's your homestead, it's protected against your creditors. No creditors can take your home away from you. Florida has some of the strongest homestead laws in the country. But if you get a second mortgage out to pay unsecured creditors, people like credit cards, medical bills, things like that, you've now converted protected equity in your home into money that you've spent on unsecured creditors, which can be dealt with other ways.
Yeah, real quick, just for clarification, what's the difference between secured and unsecured?
Okay, a secured debt is something that has collateral behind it. Your mortgage has your house behind it. Your car loan has your car behind it. Those are secured creditors because they have stuff they can take to get paid. Unsecured creditors are people like your credit cards that you didn't put any security down on, your medical bills that there's nothing securing those. So there's a big difference how they're treated under the law.
Okay, which people, I'm not an attorney. I wouldn't know that. That's why I would need to go to a professional to figure that out. One of the things you say too, which is a huge no-no, is if someone's filing a lawsuit, if there's a lawsuit against you, well, the last thing you should do is ignore it.
I can't tell you the number of times people show up in my office with a judgment and an order of garnishment, and they say to me, wait a minute, I didn't owe this credit card. How is it double what I owed? And I say, well, you got served with papers and you ignored them, and now the court has entered judgment for the creditor because you didn't bother to show up to defend yourself. Had you come to see me when you first got served, I might have been able to negotiate something or work it out for you, but now it's too late. This is a judgment. The court says you owe this money, and there's no undoing it now. So when you get served with a lawsuit, don't ignore it. It's a big deal, and it needs to be dealt with.
You can do this. You keep digging yourself further, thinking you're doing the right things, but you're making it harder on yourself. So bottom line, that's why people should come and see you, get the free consultation, and just find out what their solutions are before it's too late.
And sometimes people come see me, I say, you don't need me now. You might need me in 6 months, but when you come back in 6 months, here's what I want to see that you have done with your assets, and you have to be careful about those things. So definitely seek advice soon.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here. We'd like to thank the Lady of the Law, Allison Emery, for being here, and thanks so much to Emery, Kast, and Walker, of course, for sponsoring this segment. And remember, they say the biggest mistake that you can make when you're facing any financial hardship is to do nothing. The legal team of Emery, Kast, and Walker, they say they understand what you're going through. They say they're here to help good people who are going through some really bad times. So visit their website, www.jackslawyer.com, or call them 904-404-3394 for that free consultation. Just walk in the door and say, here's my situation. Do I need to do X, Y, and Z? They have offices in Jacksonville and St. Augustine.